I want to thank a few people. Number one, I want to thank Observer Eccentric publisher Susan Rosick. We've worked together for 34 years, and I know without a doubt that these newspapers are still here because of Sue's tireless efforts.
That's right.
We're now a daily newspaper on the web that just happens to print a hard copy twice a week. Thank you to Karen Smith, our Livonia editor back there, who's taking notes. She puts up with me, and she always has a smile when she does it. I don't get it. I don't understand that. I want to thank all of my coworkers. Several of them are here tonight. Newspapers have changed a great deal, but they're still staffed by the most intelligent, well-read, inquisitive, and just plain funny people that you'd ever want to meet. I have a few relatives and friends out here. Ann Bressler, my daughter, Livonia Public Schools student, Michigan State grad, now works for Google. My son Bobby, he's off working and living in St. Louis, so he's not here tonight. I want to introduce my mother-in-law, Betty Farhat, former librarian, Civic Center library director, and thank you for being here and also putting up with me. I'm touched that all of you would be here tonight, and I'd give a shout out to more of you, but I think Joyner's going to get the hook. My greatest thanks goes to my wife, Susan. My work schedule can be odd, to say the least, and it changes from day to day. I've gone racing out the door early on a holiday morning to photograph breaking news. Sometimes I hear about breaking news late at night, and if it's been a tough, long day or week, sometimes I wonder if it's worth the disruption. Sue pushes me out the door, and she does that because she knows who I am and what I do. Thank you.
Let's get John and Glenn up here with you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right. The photographer over here, Ann Espinoza, I first met her when you were in college. Ann was in college and worked for us briefly and is back now working for us. She teaches at Canton High School. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Just what a great influence.
Gretchen Alanis was elected last year as a Schoolcraft College trustee. A member of the Livonia Chamber Board of Directors, Gretchen also enjoys attending and supporting community organizations, defining her role as a college trustee as an ambassador to the community she was elected to represent. As an auditor at TRW, Gretchen is often traveling to Europe, visiting some of the many facilities this Livonia-based company has worldwide, a job many of us would enjoy, especially me. It is appropriate that Gretchen will be introducing one of the first elected trustees at Schoolcraft College. Please welcome with me Gretchen Alanis.
Oh my goodness, this is something new for me to do. So it's really nice to see a lot of friends out here. So thank you for all coming and helping us celebrate the volunteers in our community. I'm going to be introducing Mary Dumas, and Mary Eleanor Dumas opened the door for so many people in Livonia. And as a mentor to women, as a guardian of children, she was an advocate for community colleges, and she often was the lone voice in a community that was looking to obtain quality services. So after graduating from Pershing High School and from the University of Wisconsin, Mary married Vic and moved to Livonia in 1963. She immediately became a part of the Livonia hometown, and it was an experience that benefited our community in ways that we probably may not understand in today's environment. Mary was a wife, she was a mom, she raised 3 children. And your children are here today?
No, one of them is.
Yes. So where is Mary's? We have one of Mary's children here. It's great to have you here. Thank you for coming. She was also a loving grandmother to 4 grandchildren and a great-grandchild. But that's not all that Mary was. In the 70s, Mary was truly a trailblazer. In the 1970s, and I think, I don't want to put ages on anybody here, but the women who are like me, who grew up in the 70s, understood that women were looking for a voice during that time. And so in 1972, what was the Helen Reddy lyrics? I am woman, hear me roar. Well, I think Mary roared. In that same year, in 1972, she was elected to the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. She served on the board for 14 years, and she was a political pioneer in that. And in fact, she was, for a time, the only woman on that commission. So, and during her tenure, she was reportedly said, "I'm wearing a skirt, no apron, and the pencil in my hand is not a skillet, but it could be." So Laura, I'm thinking maybe on the way to the next board meeting, you might want to stop at the Bed Bath & Beyond for a skillet of your own. Mary was also involved in numerous programs that were geared towards helping youth. She was involved with the criminal justice system for the youth. She was a chairperson for the United Community Services Task Force for Youth Outreach, and she served as Governor William Milliken's appointee for the Michigan Juvenile Justice Commission. I can well imagine the heartbreak that she must have felt during those times when she was trying to help youth to overcome some of the adversities in their life. But I can also imagine the joy she must have felt when she was successfully able to lead a youth into a better life. And I think Vic probably can give us a much better picture of what that was like for her. But I picture that in my mind. She also worked on a program for lifers and families at Jackson Prison, and was even caught there once during a riot. She also was a volunteer probation officer for the 18th District Court. And in continuing her desire to help youth, she loved Schoolcraft College and was a trustee there from 1971 to 1973. And continuing her guidance and encouragement of women, she was also legislative chair for the Michigan Women's Political Caucus and a mentor for future county commissioners, including the state representative Lynn Banks. Husband Vic said that she was proud to have had the opportunity to serve and to see the accomplishments of the programs that she worked on, and she was very proud of the work that she did. So it's my pleasure to welcome the newest inductee of the 1835 Livonia City Hall of Fame, Mary Dumas, who will be represented tonight by her husband Vic.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
It's all yours.
Oh, you want, I'm supposed to say something. Well, when you're with Mary Dumas in the 68 years that we were together, you learn to keep your mouth shut.
Vic, some of them didn't hear that. Anybody that knows Mary Dumas, whenever Vic and Mary were together, Mary talked a lot.
Oh, Mary always talked, but she always had something to say. And, of course, being married for 68 years before she left us 2 years ago, I learned my lessons the hard way. Laura, Gretchen talked about a lot of things that Mary did, but she did a lot of political work, that's for certain. But some of the things that she was most interested in was the courts and the legal system that we had here in those early years in '63 when we moved here. That's 50 years ago, this November 1st. And she used to go over to the shack, which was on 7 Mile Road next to Pearson School, that they call the courthouse. And people were crowded in there waiting to see if they could find a judge who was in another closet. And she said, in the closet, and I was worried that it might have been the water closet that they were holding court. But she worked until and formed a committee with another woman, and I can't remember who it was, to get a new courthouse. And that's what finally happened. These were jobs that were all gratis, volunteer, and they consumed an awful lot of time. The only political thing she did was to run for precinct delegate. And she was brought up with a family of lawyers. Her grandfather was a lawyer and taught law at the University of Michigan, and her aunt was a biology teacher there also. So her father was a lawyer, and she wanted to become a lawyer, but at that time, the University of Michigan wouldn't accept women. And they had their quota too, and that was it. So we ended up at the University of Wisconsin, and she was a little discouraged about her law, but this is one of the things that she always did. She worked with the juvenile justice departments and became well known throughout the country. She was called to Congress. Birch Rye, who had a committee working on juvenile justice, called her in to testify at Congress. We had Carl Levin, used to call her quite regularly. I have a lot of correspondence from people like Governor Romney, who we did quite a bit of work for when he was there, and also for Lenore when she ran for her office. It was a situation that was, how can I say, someone who loved politics and worked at it. When she retired, all of the newspapers, and there was a lot of them back then, wrote about Mary Dumas, a commissioner, not only of the district, but a commissioner of Wayne County, which she should have been, and which we need now are people who are more interested in the total scope of politics other than party. And I assure you that I'm very proud of her record, and trying to assemble some of the stuff, it's terrible. There's just so much of it. I want to thank Bill for making this possible, and I want to thank the committee and all of you who encouraged Mary and who voted for her. And God bless you all.
Thank you so much.
I forgot to mention, Bill here was one of her cohorts.
Yeah, but she helped end my political career. We both served on the county board together. I so alienated everybody, and I mean everybody, that they had the audacity when they redrew the districts in 1980 to put Mary Dumas and I into the same district. So I had a choice. I met with everybody possible, and I said, should I run or not? And they said, against Mary Dumas, you're going to lose. Save your money. So I did, and she went on, of course. So thanks for ending my political career.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks, Jen. Congratulations.
Thank you. I didn't tell them about the fact.
You know what, we're waiting for our next one. A couple of other people came in that I missed. Livonia School Board Member Elaine McDonald, please. And Eileen. You know, I've said Elaine as long as I've known you. Eileen, my apologies. And member, former school board president and on the planning commission, Linda Scheel. Linda?
I know Terry Marecki as my city clerk, as my very good friend, and the mother of Jordan, my former right-hand man. Jordan worked for me for almost 5 years in Wayne County, and she raised a top-notch daughter. So it seems just like yesterday that Terry was appointed and then elected to the Livonia Board of Education, was then elected to the Livonia City Council, and then in her current position as the Livonia City Clerk. And just recently, more people are realizing, me and my husband included, that she is a very gifted photographer. No disrespect. But she has a way of taking a picture, bringing the viewer in, opening their eyes in amazement at what she captures. And Mike and I purchased for a very cheap price, I'm so glad we have them before she becomes very popular, just 2 beautiful landscapes. She has such an eye for color. She's very, very talented. You need to see her work. Please welcome with me, that was a good sales pitch, wasn't it? I'm sorry. Please welcome with me a long time and certainly a long time friend of our community, Terry Marecki.
Oh, thank you. Can I lift this a little? I'm probably taller than everybody. Oh, I'm good? Okay. Bill, thank you again for inviting me. I think I've made it all 9 years that you've done this, and I've enjoyed it every year. And it's nice of you to put this together. And I'm thrilled this year that I am introducing Joe McCotter, who I have remembered since, it seems like since I was a kid. So I'm very honored to introduce Joan tonight. Joe McCotter graduated from Cooley High School, attended Wayne State, and graduated with a degree in speech and English with a master's in special education. Her career started out, I gotta put these on, excuse me. Her career started out as a reading readiness teacher with her experiences, including teaching at the Wayne County Youth Home and Healy Child Shelter. It says a lot about Joan that her goal as a teacher at the youth home was to keep the students academically active, giving them at least one place that felt familiar and secure. Joan McCotter was the first woman in Livonia ever elected as president of the Livonia City Council, serving on the council from 1986 until 1991, when she was elected Livonia City Clerk, remaining there for 12 years until 2003. As city clerk, she felt good about inheriting an excellent staff from Bob Nash. She appreciated the great support she got from her staff and felt like there was always a very good team spirit in the clerk's office. And Joan, I want to thank you because I still have 3 of your staff with me, and believe me, it's a high learning curve to learn this job, and they've helped me immensely the last 3 years. One of Joan's priorities as clerk was to ensure that election workers were well trained, making changes to the system to make it easier for workers, which helped increase election worker retention. Joan was known for driving around to every precinct on election day with her sister Rosemary, who's here tonight, to check that campaign workers were not disobeying the 100 feet from the building entrance rule, which all you electeds know about that. She says it was probably the teacher in her that wanted her to ensure that rules were being followed. Joan was also the first city clerk to televise election results on Channel 8. She loved to use the media and created a kaleidoscope of candidates segment in which she introduced candidates and gave them 5 minutes to talk to voters. She was also part of the Women's Alliance of Livonia, an informal group of women who had power in their own right in the community and were in a position to initiate programs and projects on their own. They met to discuss issues support candidates, and helped women get elected to office. The group included Sister France Lane, Charlie Mahoney, Lynn Banks, Shirley Ritter, among others. It was an excellent learning experience for members. We take women office holders for granted today. It's not unusual. Leaders like Joe McCotter in the 80s, Mary Duma in the 70s, and Jerry Joyner in the 60s paved the way not only with their ability to get elected, but their willingness, as Joe McCotter would say, to believe in tradition, but also believe in innovation. Livonia is a better hometown because of the quality and stability of our local government, and a part of that reason is because of the quality and stability provided by Joe McCotter. Please welcome me with our newest inductee to the 1835 Livonia City Hall of Fame, Joe McCotter.
I was reminded today of a valuable lesson I learned and evidently forgotten. That was when you talk to the press, tell them it's off the record. Now, we've always said that in Livonia, families come first. And that's really true. I stand here, as Terry mentioned, taking over as clerk from Bob Nash. My husband and Bob both taught driver ed in Detroit. I served on, well, he was on the council. I followed him on council. But today, my granddaughter, Amelia, and Bob's granddaughter, Lindsay, are both, they carpool to Mercy together and are both on the pom-pom squad. So it just shows that families continue. I would like to say along the same team as family that my staff is the reason that I was a successful clerk. And I am so proud and so pleased that 3 of them came today to see me be inducted, and I wish they'd stand. Ann Tavalacci, Diane Massa, and Eileen Davis. Would you stand, please? It tells you something because only families would come out and spend their evening listening to speeches. And I particularly want to give recognition to my sister, who, as you say, was my companion as we drove around. They'd say, "Here comes the car, back up." But that was all right. My sister Rosemary and my son Dennis, who's here, but especially my granddaughter Abigail, who came here to find out what her grandmother was doing all those years when she didn't learn how to knit, crochet, bake cookies. There were other things I was doing. I don't want to embarrass you, but would you stand, Abigail? Thank you all very much. Oh.
John and Glenn and Terry. You guys do far more.
Thank you.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
Richard, do you get the University of Michigan marching band to stand still and redo a pose when you're in the middle of a halftime performance?
They don't listen to me at all.
I've known John Walsh for many years, from when he first ran for trustee. I called him up with a question about his literature, and it has been great to watch him be recognized by his peers in Lansing. My question was inconsequential, but the important thing was that he returned my phone call. He's been recognized by his peers in Lansing as the #2 leader in the Michigan House of Representatives. Speaks highly of our hometown and equally highly of his leadership skills that he brings to working with others. From serving as a member of the Livonia City Council to heading up the foundation at Schoolcraft College to now serving his 3rd term as state representative, John Walsh has always been open to discussion and willing to be accessible to all he represents, no matter what position he holds. Please welcome with me our state representative and one of Michigan's leaders, John Walsh.
Bill, thank you for those kind comments. And something you said earlier, I just want to comment on about Glenn Anderson and I. We're witnessing something horrible in Washington, D.C. right now. But I'm proud to tell you that here in Michigan, we can disagree sometimes, but we don't get disagreeable. Glenn and I are from different parties, but we hold our community first and foremost. We know where each other are on certain issues, but we work together on everything else. And I'm proud to call Glenn my friend, and I appreciate you making that comment earlier because it's important to me and it's important to all of us, I hope. Thank you, Glenn. And just quickly, I'd like to invite up, we have a couple of special guests that know Janet very, very well. Her sister Jill is here from Ohio. And Jill, if I can put you on the spot and just ask you to come forward and stand with me as I present. I'm not sure where she's seated. She came up from Columbus, Ohio. If you'll join me, and Jack and Pat Kirksey, if you're willing, if you'll come up, just stand with me while I read a few things about Janet, because I've known her for 5 years.